We need your support. Click the like buttons below. Now onto the video. Welcome to readtheticker.com. Today we're going to review Bitcoin and determine whether it's Gann angle friendly. Here are the questions we're going to study. We're going to look at Bitcoin support at 30,000, the previous Bitcoin high at 65,000, the future high zone to consider, and prove that Bitcoin is Gann angle friendly. So, before we can do Gann angles, we must establish that time, that's the x-axis, versus the y-axis, which is price, has an equal relationship. This is what we do in readtheticker.com, and here we have time to price of 1 to 1. Price has been adjusted by 1,000, so it's 1 unit of time to 1,000 units of price. Okay, obviously because Bitcoin moves so fast, it's been adjusted, but we basically got our time unit and our price unit equal. So therefore we have a square chart, so we can look at Gann angles. What this basically means is that when we draw a 45-degree line from one corner to the other, if I should draw that, and hopefully it goes to the other corner, bingo. So therefore that is a perfect one-to-one relationship. It goes from one corner of the chart to the other corner of the chart. So this is the true way to do Gann angles. And we're going to look at Bitcoin, and I said we're going to look at Bitcoin support. But before we can look at Bitcoin support, we're going to look at, for example, here was a high. We've got a high there, a high there, and a high here. Before we look at the support, we're going to study the previous two supports. So I'm just going to expand the chart a bit so we can focus up. I'm using, what am I using? Chrome, and I've just done the magnification on the web browser. And by the way, I'm using the tools out of QuickDraw, the QuickDraw Gann angle tools. These lines can be saved through other objects. Okay, so here we've got a high. Alright, let's look at this high. We put our vertical line on there. I'm going to go, I've done some testing, so I'm going to go from the 0 point. So here's the 0 on the chart, this is 0. So Gann can draw angles from the 0, a low point. So we're going to do that. So we're going to put a quick automatic Gann angle on that. We're looking at support from a high. Right, as you can see there, we had a high there, price moved along. There was a little bit of support there, and as you came there, it failed there, and that's when people who have been holding on, the hodlers, realised there was a failure and it's collapsed. A bit of a test there, it bounced, and as you can see, it travelled along this Gann angle, and it collapsed when it failed there, and then it held, and as you can see, the trend held up there. Right, so as you can see, that support, where there's a couple of tests along the way before it found true support. Okay, so another way we can do it, we can go from a previous, we're looking at this high here, we can go from a previous high point. On that time point, draw a vertical angle. I'm just showing you how to find the points to draw Gann angles. I'd like to be accurate, so there we go. So we've got a point up here, and I'm going to draw a bearish Gann angle. So if I go hold down the X key and draw it. And as you can see here, price, if you're short, price is moving down here, followed that downtrend there, broke, followed that downtrend, broke. As you can see, it moved along there as it broke through the Gann angles. Gann angles were developed because Gann noticed price move through the Gann angles, and as you can see, the consolidations and the pauses and the activity and the sell-offs are working through the Gann angles. So that's very Gann angle friendly. Alright, so did it work back here? So we've got the high point there. We're going to drop the vertical line in there, around about. Oh, I didn't do that accurately. Right, so let's do that. We're drawing the bullish Gann angle, and as you can see here, price came down there, tested off the 45-degree angle, tried to hold on to it, failed on the 2 to 1, which is 2 units of time, 1 unit of price, failed there, and failed dramatically, but it found support eventually along this Gann angle here, which is about the 2 to 1, 4 to 1, 8 to 1. Okay, that actually became very bullish, and as you can see here, it held up there, COVID shock, and as you can see, it continued on. Resistance was near here. So as you can see there, very, very Gann angle friendly. Let's do the previous test where we had the high. I don't have prior data, so I can't do a high from the previous high. So we'll leave that at the moment, I think. Okay, let's just do the current support level of 30,000. We know the previous highs forecasting support works. So we now have a high here, right here. We go down to 0 because I like to use 0. Obviously, you can use 0. You can use previous support levels, prior support levels, but I found that the 0 is the best one on this chart. So I draw my support level. So there was the high, price came down here, it held there, but that's where it broke. Smashed right down there, try to hold there, you can see the little action there. Actually, I'll expand it up because it's pretty tight chart. I'll just do it a little bit better, that makes it a bit easier, isn't it? We'll do that. So there's the high, we want the time point. That's the time. I'm just drawing, using the V key, holding down it, clicking the 0. It's all in the quick draw charts. I'm drawing my Gann angle from the 0 point. Right, that's better. Price came along, came down there, tested against that Gann angle, thinking it might go straight up, failed, went all the way down here, found support here, but failed, came along to the 1 to 2, which is 1 unit at a time, 2 units of price, bounced off it, and it's quite aggressive, okay? So you would be watching around there. Normally in a support zone, you really are looking at the green and blue angles, okay? So here we found good support there. There's other statistics going on there. You don't use Gann angles on your own. You use fundamentals and other things. Technical analysis on its own is a bit barren. You've got to use other tools. But I'm just showing you the effectiveness of Gann angles. Okay. So we've got a high point here. If I drop that down, doing a bearish Gann angle, boom. As you can see, it broke that angle there. So if you're short, successful there. A bit of a test here, hold on, but it broke out here. So we're going to have an interesting time around the 48 mark, and I believe there's some real big moving averages and all that sort of stuff that have to be broken there. So that's going to be interesting. Okay, so let's that's the support. Gann angles. That's how they found that support. Now Gann angles are used in a situation with a chart that can be more technical than fundamental. Gann angles, I believe, are widely used in the Asia, non-Anglo-Saxon region, like the Russians and the Middle East and the Asians use Gann angles quite a lot. Right. Okay, so how do we do this high? Where'd that high come from? So we've got a previous high here and another high over there. So let's just take the previous high. Boom. Draw a bullish Gann angle. As you can see there, the previous high, that's the angle of 1 unit at a time to 2 units of price. There was if you're doing Wyckoff, the supply came in here, so it was very much a testing time, and it's obviously consolidated between these two Gann angles. Okay, so that's pretty good. So you're watching this rally up there, you know where the lines are. It could have gone all the way up there, maybe halfway, but obviously they tried to slow it down. The Elon Musk FUD came in here and they did that quite effectively, but that's why 65,000 was miraculously chosen. Okay. Now we also go to the previous high if you want to put that in like that. Yep, there's another angle there. See how it's see how the prices. This is obviously this high here is more important than that high here because this is a high in an important cycle, and as you can see the pattern's working through here. So I wouldn't be surprised if somehow price does get through that 45 and it actually consolidates around the 75k mark for a few weeks. And now we work, and obviously we've got to just remember this price, this angle up here. So now we're going to look into the future to see whether we've got the 65,000 zone here. What could be in the future? So we've obviously got this zone, these zones here, okay, which is anything between 110 and 130. I'll put on this angle back on here. That just shows there's a tight pattern forming just before 100,000, as you would expect. Price is going to move up to this area. It's going to be slowed down before it gets to 100 grand, and what happens after that, it could really move up here. But obviously, when price starts moving up, right, this is going to be the previous high. Okay, so if that price starts moving up, that's going to be the previous high. So a big Gann angle there. So even though everyone's thinking about 100,000, I think it's going to get through 100,000 relatively easily, and that's what happens around the 120 to 135 mark. Okay, because higher up, if it gets through that, it's going to be interesting. Now, how much time is it going to take to get there? Okay, so let's just take the speed of this advance. I'm just going to draw a parallel channel. Let's take a look at the speed of this advance, and let's just put it a few weeks over here. Did I click it? Oh yeah, there you go. So you can see that trend line there mirrors the speed of that advance with a few weekly consolidations. Okay, so if I move it out there relative to that distance from there, just just eyeballing it, and we get maybe a speed of a rally if we're lucky to get that, and 100,000 is here. So if I plonk the line between there, margin of error, that suggests 100,000 may be breached between January and March of next year if it doesn't go faster. So as we know, if we get to 100,000, anything up to close to 130, 135,000 could have been an excitable move. It's on the table. Obviously, getting up to beyond that into the stars would be depending on how fast the US dollar goes down. But the next resistance would be 160, 165, anything between 150 and 165. So I'm suggesting is that a target of 100,000 is very acceptable. A more applicable target is close to 115 to 135. A crazy dollar crash, fuel injected liquidity spike that goes nuts is only going to be anywhere near between 150 and 175 and beyond to consider. Okay, so that's Gann angle studies. If it's worked before, it's bound to work in the future. So I believe we're going to get a slow pattern like that. If the pace of advance is quicker than this, well then obviously numbers change. But let's see what happens. It might just only go up halfway and do... I mean, a lot of the Elliott wave boys are thinking of a pattern. Sorry, excuse me. A lot of Elliott wave pranksters are thinking that this sideways pattern might go all the way to there. Like it goes up and does another ABC down, all this sort of carrying. I'm thinking this pattern here is too small for that. But I'd just like to highlight, if I take the time frame from here to there, which is the top, and there to there, as you can see, it's equal. This pattern here and that pattern there are equal. And if this FUD was deliberately manipulated to get priced down, well, I would say that pattern could be over. It might extend a couple of weeks, but I think we could be into a rally with slowly build-up rally with consolidations along the way. Why is that? Well, if you listen to the Fed's previous FOMC press conference 3 or 4 days ago, the Fed is looking for excuses not to taper, and they're looking for excuses to create liquidity. Powell wants to keep his job in February, and the Dems want to do well in the midterms next year, and a 10 or 20% correction that they may not be able to recover from on the risk-on asking market, they do not want. So I believe the most friendly time for risk-on markets would be obviously between now and June next year. Whoopsie daisy. This is the most friendly time for pumping, something going wrong. As we know, the David Hunter view, we're following that. It's a pump up, a boom, a bust, because the Fed will probably make a mistake. But anyway, I see 100,000 to be the bronze medal, the silver medal to be 120 to 135, and the gold medal is bound to be anything over 135, 140 to near 200. I don't know how I gets to 300,000, but what do I know? Okay, this thing here went from 6,000 to what did it go? $600 to 20,000. This here went from 10,000 to 65. That's 6 times. Here was, so let's say we go up 5 times. Oh, geez, that 5 times and 30. It's 150. So that, you know, that's on the table. 4 times is excuse me. Yeah, it's 90. So you know that's on the table. Why not? That's how quickly this thing moves. Also, I'd like to point out that where's my gadget? That it is seasonal for anti-US dollar trades at the moment to rise from September onwards. The US dollar weakness, And if we get a US dollar weakness and seasonal anti-US dollar trades rise, then Bitcoin could do well. Now, it's unlikely Bitcoin to do well if the US dollar does not fall aggressively. That means that the US dollar does not break down below 89.5 and start tickling 87, 80, 86 and 85. The US dollar will have to trend on down to that 85 on the DXY mark for Bitcoin to do really, really well. So, there's your targets for the Gann angles. Bitcoin is very Gann angle friendly. You can draw Gann angles from the low, from the zero, from previous support levels, from high, from previous highs. You know, for example, from the date. If I draw a point here, you can draw a Gann angle from that point there, or that high zone there, to explore how price is moving through the angles. So keep an eye on it. I believe we're going to have a good run with Bitcoin. Thanks for watching.